All right, so I trust you've got a Seggy One because I've not done anything for it.
What? You've not got anything? Well, it's a good job I have. It's the worst one I've done yet.
Can you put that in the intro?
Yeah.
That's the intro. Hi, I'm Ian, he's Ollie.
Hi.
Wow, nice voice. Dulcet tones.
I mean, it's my normal voice.
We're both guys, we're chatting about home cinemas. It's the Guys on Film podcast.
Tickets, please. I don't know why I said that, but what I was thinking was...
A ticket for my own house?
Yeah, exactly, but a ticket for the cinema, because we're not going to the cinema at the moment, and I think... that's one of the things we might be discussing, that we're not going to the cinema. Are we missing it, etc.? So, Ian, what have we got? What have we got coming up?
A question that has etc. in it. Are we missing it, etc.? So today we will be. You haven't even told me what the Seggy One is about. You've created a wonderful Seggy One. We'll get into that. I'm sure it's going to be highly entertaining.
Ian, it's, as previously mentioned, the worst one that I've done.
Okay.
by quite a long margin. I don't even know how it works.
What?
So we'll just get around to it.
The thing with Seggy One is usually that there's a strict format, which means that any lapse of concentration is still restrained by the format. It keeps us together. And today you're telling me that even the format is not strong.
Lockdown, yeah. Even the format isn't in lockdown. So yeah.
Okay. All right.
What are we talking about in the deep dive? Obviously we've got LifeScore. So.
I thought that after LifeScores, our deep dive this week would be on home cinema, or weirdly in my notes, what I've called home theatre.
Okay.
So yeah, basically we're in lockdown. Cinemas, at least for the longest time now, have been unavailable to us. Maybe they're starting to slowly open up again. By the time people listen to this, they might be able to sit in one that's at 20% capacity with a mask on.
20% open, like the doors are... You have to really squeeze through.
Yeah, be thin to get in.
Being like people only.
But on top of your 3D glasses, you've also got eye protection and PPE, so the experience is massively diminished. So we thought, well, let's have a look at what you can do to make your home cinema experience great. And in my mind, when I was thinking about that, I was thinking about those classic setups that you see with enormous speakers, walls of speakers next to huge projection screens. But I think based on our Twitter and Facebook response, the reality is not similar at all. So we'll get into that later. Okay. But first, you'd struggle if you're trying to get 20% into the cinema. But first, important message.
Yeah.
We were supposed to do a podcast about 3 or 4 weeks ago, and actually we did it, but we chose to pull the episode and not release it for, I think, quite important reasons. So what were those reasons, Ollie?
We always kind of discuss about what the theme of the episode will be, and it's normally just something that pops into our head, and there it is. You agree because you don't have to think about it anymore. And I hadn't ever watched Training Day, so I watched that and thought that there's a lot of kind of cool movies where there's like good cops and bad cops. So we decided to do one on good cop, bad cop. So looking at your bad lieutenants, your training days, to sort of good cops, your kindergarten cops, all that sort of stuff in our own kind of whimsical, very non-taking it seriously way. There was nothing sort of problematic in there or anything like that, but it takes us a long time to release an episode. We're full-time working at the moment, so it does take us a little while to release an episode. We are very sporadic, and we know that. We used to do one a week, and don't know how we did it, but we just don't do that anymore. But the point I'm getting to is we actually sort of recorded this and decided it quite a while ago. In fact, before what had, happened with George Floyd, and then obviously the ensuing protests, and a lot of the things that have been happening in the States, and then obviously spread into around the world with rights protests and Black Lives Matter, and all those sort of things that we're behind, we're up for. And it just didn't feel right for us to release an episode that sort of touched on corrupt police and having us kind of talk crap about it, basically.
Yeah, I think it was just like a no-brainer, because it was like, well, there's probably not anything in the episode that would really cause any issues, but it's just like, look, just don't go near it for a bit, because it's just like some of the cops in those films are intentionally horrible people, and I think because usually the episodes we do, we just kind of have a bit of a laugh talking about these films. I just think the tone was a bit wrong, wasn't it? I think like probably in a couple of years' time, if we like really need to go to the well, there's an episode there that's probably got some fun content about those films. But I just think in the current climate, I think when really there are important things to question about how police operate, talking about how Denzel Washington is like a really like bad guy in Training Day, or how, I don't know, Bad Lieutenant is like just like the worst of the worst in terms of like how police should operate. They should protect and serve, and we kind of, as usual, take the piss because this is a fun podcast. So anyway, let's not labour it too much. It's just that's the main reason that we've not had content for a while. Sorry.
Yeah, and I tell you what, Ian, the Seggy One that we had in there was a banger, and I just remembered it now. It was I came up with a whole bunch of action hero names.
Oh, yeah.
And I mixed them in with real ones. So look, if worse comes to worse,
100% because yours were terrible.
No, they were good. I think if worse comes to worse, what we might do one day is just surgically remove the that Seggy One and put it into a new one. In fact, if this one is terrible, like I predict it will be,
you might have to.
You might just do that.
Okay. Cool, let's get into it. Seggy One.
Bill. Yeah, but guys, we'll talk about Bill. It's the Guys on Bill podcast for real. You know what guys talk about Bill. It's the Guys on Bill podcast for real.
So Ian, I've been running quite a lot recently. I've done like a 12-week running plan.
From what? What's the problem?
There's no problem. I've wanted to get back a bit of health that I may have had that listeners may be used to, maybe a couple of years ago where I was running half marathons and 10Ks and all that. So I've been doing like a 12-week. Yeah, get that health back. So I've been doing like a running program. So it's 12 weeks. This Seggy One is on running times. You all know that my favourite film running time is 90 minutes, right?
Okay.
You know that.
Yeah.
So what I've got is I've got some franchises here, and I have got the running times of those franchises. This is where I'm kind of maybe need your guidance. Would you prefer to put them in order of length, or would you rather play higher or lower?
Higher or lower? Let's do that.
Oh, really? Okay, let's do that.
It's a good format. Okay. I feel like I've said that to you, and you're really unprepared to do it that way. But let's
I'm not
see
unprepared.
How you do.
Let's see how you do. But I feel like you're going to have to be more accurate on this. I guess you're going to have to be thinking a bit more. So here we go. First off, we're looking at the Matrix trilogy. Okay. How long is the Matrix? The first one. Not looking on IMDb. What would you say?
I was just in the middle of doing an answer, mate. I was going to say the original Matrix is taut, it's well scripted, so my feel is that it's close to the 90-minute mark, but probably just a little bit more. 98, 100.
98?
What do you mean 98? Like 98 is just under 100. Maybe 1 hour 45?
No, it's actually 2 hours 16 minutes.
Really? 2 hours 16?
Okay.
So I actually watched this the other night with Eric, my son, and it still holds up. So
Of course it does.
I've shown him the trailer for Reloaded, and he's like, "That looks daft." So we'll see. So The Matrix Reloaded, is it shorter or is it longer than The Matrix?
I thought you said that you told Eric that the sequels did not exist.
There was no way to. There was actually no way to stop him from finding out, because they're all kind of stacked up against each other on Amazon. So,
Okay, all right,
impossible.
okay. Matrix Reloaded. That's the direct next sequel, right?
Oh, we're going in chrono order, so it is the next one.
Chrono order. It's longer because it felt longer, and it's probably like once they kind of got too big for their boots and thought, let's go mad. So I'm going to say longer.
How much longer do you think?
By the way, can I just check, when you've researched these running times, do they include the credits and all that nonsense?
This is the time that is given on IMDB, okay? And these are the standard the standards. Oh, would you have preferred me to check the BBFC?
I would have preferred you to have watched every one and then paused at the point where the movie ends and the credits start and taken the on-screen timestamp.
Okay.
Can you just go back and do that instead?
No. Look,
Okay.
I feel like you're making the running time of this episode unbearably long.
Okay, it's longer maybe by 15 minutes.
It is longer, but it's only longer by 2 minutes. They only had 2 more extra minutes to play with there.
Okay.
So moving on. The Matrix Revolutions, the final chapter in the Matrix one, and it is going downhill quite rapidly at this point. I don't know that many people that. I mean, I quite like Matrix Reloaded. I like the music. I think the Burly Brawl is good.
Wow.
Even though the graphics are a bit kind of PS3. I was going to say PS2, but that's unfair. That is out of order. So PS3
Okay, that's
graphics.
unfair. Yeah, okay.
And I quite like some of the car chase as well.
Wow,
so.
wow, wow.
For interest's sake, maybe by the third one they've worked out that people didn't want what they were giving them. So
No, but they were filming these at the same
shorter?
time, Ian.
Oh yeah, of course.
They didn't know. They filmed them at the same time.
I think logic would say that this one would be 2 minutes longer still, but actually I'm going to go shorter. Like, they're increasing the times by 2 minutes with every movie, but actually I'm going to go shorter.
Yeah, you're correct. It's shorter. Just 2 hours 9 minutes.
So is that 2 points to me? I got the starter wrong, but I've got 2 points so far in the higher lower.
Yes, you have. So the next one is the Gremlins film. So do you think Gremlins is longer or shorter than the Matrix Revolutions?
Shorter.
But yeah, it is shorter. Have you got any idea how much by?
I would say the Gremlins original is probably, again, kind of closer to that classic 90-minute mark. So maybe like 95, 100.
It's actually 1 hour 46.
Wow.
So I feel it could have been 90 minutes, but anyway. Interestingly, because I think this is a bit unfair, because this is a bit sneaky if I do this, but Gremlins 2 is exactly the same length.
Okay.
Oh, you should have asked.
Nah, because you would have gone, this is higher or lower, not higher, the same or lower.
I have said that before. So what did you say?
You have.
What did you say Gremlins was?
So 1 hour 46 minutes, and it's exact. And Gremlins 2 is exactly the same length. Okay, Rush Hour, the Jackie Chan, Chris Tucker comedy masterpiece. Is it longer or shorter than Gremlins?
Well, it's a rush hour, so it's probably only 55 minutes.
Okay.
Okay, it's 1:30. Let's say 1:30.
So it is shorter at 1 hour 38 minutes.
Oh, okay.
Okay, now Rush Hour 2, were they rushing even more, or were they taking their merry time?
Take your time, hour or two.
Did they have more story to tell in Rush Hour 2, or were they like 8 minutes was a bit you know.
Can you remind me what was the feel of Rush Hour 2? What were they up to in that?
Very much the same sort of stuff. Yeah.
Rushing. Let's follow the Matrix sequel thing of 2 minutes longer. No, actually, no. Hold on.
No, sorry.
Actually,
no,
you did
Ian.
a teeth suck, and I was in the middle of saying, actually, I want it to be 9 minutes shorter. Like
I don't know about this. Viewers, how do you feel about... I don't know about that. It is shorter at 1 hour 30 minutes, so you're pretty much bang on with your revised...
8 minutes shorter, yeah. I was just basically using Revolutions as the comparison.
What? Why?
Well, I don't know. It set a precedent by being 9 minutes shorter than whatever the minimum was called, Reloaded.
Okay, then by that logic, Rush Hour 3...
No, because it's already broke. Oh, no, actually, hold on. 2 minutes longer. Let's say 2 minutes longer.
You're pretty good, actually. This one, Rush Hour 3, is 1 hour 31 minutes. I mean, I'd say I'd watch these films any night of the week, purely because it's a great number to work with.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, the latest that I would put on a film of a weekday is probably about 8:30.
Yeah, same. We're getting that way as well. It's just pointless putting it on any time later.
Okay, Ian, now this is where you're really going to get tested. I want some real accurate figures for from here on in.
Can you remind me, what's the running time of Rush Hour 3?
So that's 1 hour 31 minutes.
Okay.
So Alien, and I really want to hear the runtime on this one.
Well, I don't think there was a director's cut. It's like just less than 2 hours, I think.
Yeah, correct. It's 1 hour 57 minutes. That's bang on. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
So it is longer.
Don't worry about it, mate.
Okay. Now we're talking the whatever's on IMDb. So I guess this is just the cinematic cut. Aliens, longer than Alien or shorter?
Aliens, I feel like, is a more mass market film, but there's a lot in it. And I struggle because the thing that I've watched for the longest time is the director's cut that's like a longer ride, as James Cameron would say. Let's say 2.5 hours, because I think James Cameron finds it harder to rein himself in, maybe.
Yeah, true. It is longer, but it's actually just a breezy 2 hours 17 minutes.
Oh, interesting. Okay, fair enough.
Okay, let's rattle through these now. Alien 3.
It's shorter, say 2 hours 5.
It's 1 hour 54, but you did guess, the name of the game isn't guess the exact, timestamp. It's, it is higher and lower. So
yeah, Ollie, this is making me think you should surgically remove the action hero thing and replace it for this, because we're getting so into numerical figures in this that it's unentertaining. Let's just do higher or lower. Let's just do higher or lower. Forget the runtime.
Okay, for the last three. Terminator.
Lower.
Correct, 1 hour 47. Terminator 2, Judgment Day.
Longer.
Correct, 2 hours 17 minutes. Exact same length as Aliens.
Wow.
T3, Rise of the Machines.
Lower.
Correct. 1 hour 49. Well done.
Don't know what the logic of that last one was, but I feel like it was sort of reboot, so they had to make it kind of snappy and commercial, so who knows.
And a bonus point if you can guess roughly, like within let's say 5 minutes, the longest runtime of any of the Transformers films.
Oh, fucking hell. 3 hours 20?
No, it's 2 hours 45 though.
What? Okay. Just on run times, do you know the runtime of Heaven's Gate?
It's like 5 hours, something like that.
5 hours 25. Just when you talked about run times, the first thing that came to my mind was Cool Runnings. Do you know the runtime of Cool Runnings?
It's got to be 90 minutes, isn't it?
Just looked it up. 1 hour 38 minutes. So yeah, like 8 minutes off. Pretty good. Pretty close.
You have to put that one on at 8:22.
Okay, cool.
I think
Deep
I'll
dive?
leave this in. I think I'll leave it in. I'll make it snappy.
Yeah.
I'll edit it, but I think it's fine.
Yeah, I think the higher or lower works. The higher or lower, and also define exactly why it's higher or lower is,
Yeah, I mean, people have learnt some run times of some classic films there. So, LifeScores?
LifeScores.
Live score. How are you? Live score.
I'm fine, thank you.
Live score. Out of 10. Live score.
Probably like a 4. Ian, how are you?
I'm doing good. Pretty good considering.
Considering what?
Well, we're in lockdown. These are trying times.
It's been lifted now, though.
Lift that lockdown. We can be lifted. Yeah, pretty good. We've had fewer barbecues because it's been rainy. And I was enjoying the barbecuing in lockdown for a while there. But things have been pretty... I said this to you before. I worked a little bit later than normal today because things have been pretty fast-paced at work. We've been working to milestones, but everything's going really good. So
Nice.
Can't complain. Let me tell you about some films that I've watched recently, though.
Okay.
Oh, and also just been having a good time having a dog around. It's nice.
Oh, has Arnie learnt any new tricks?
Yeah, he can now do the line from Total Recall where he says, "God damn it, go ahead and give this people ear."
Can he edit podcasts?
No, and I'm not interested in teaching him that. But just more Arnie lines, I think, from the dog would, that'd suffice.
Yeah.
He can also bench about £500.
Okay.
So, yeah. Films I've watched recently. Eurovision Song Contest, The Story of Fire Saga. Have you seen this?
No, but my mum actually sent me a text message out of the blue saying, Eurovision film, very good.
Wow.
It is good. It's not hilarious start to finish, but it's like, have you seen Blades of Glory?
Yes.
It's got a lot of the same highs and lows of that. So,
yeah. Are we looking at that sort of formula?
It's similar formula, I'd say. So here's the official synopsis.
The official synopsis.
When aspiring musician Lars and Sigrid are given the opportunity to represent their country at the world's biggest song competition, they finally have a chance to prove that any dream worth having is a dream worth fighting for. Ollie, you'll love it.
Okay, I'm up for it.
Sadly,
it's been a surprise hit, hasn't it?
I don't know if I haven't really kept up with it. I saw it kind of advertised, and then it was like the sort of main thing in the front of Netflix for a little while, and I thought, all right, let's go for it. I think Rachel McAdams is really good in it. She's really funny and also weirdly believable, as unlike a number of the other North American actors and actresses that are cast in
Scandi roles.
Yeah, she's actually quite believable. I'm just looking now. The meta score for this is only 50, so boo. But
but what's the user score?
The user score, I can't actually see the overall, but loads of them are 10 out of 10, so fair enough.
100%.
Loads of them.
Yeah.
The one disappointing thing I had in this film is still a positive, which is they imagine a song that they will do as their sort of big Eurovision song, which is called Volcano Man.
Yeah.
And it just has Will Ferrell kind of making breathy, almost like orgasmic sounds, but in place of the percussion. So he's like, and then they just start singing Volcano Man over the top of it. It's brilliant. It's very good. But unfortunately, that's not actually the song they take to the competition.
Okay. Is it safe for watching with kids?
There are probably a few bits that are a little bit adult in theme. Like basically, if you remember back to Blades of Glory,
yeah,
the John Heder, is that Napoleon Dynamite's real name?
That's the one.
John Heder. His character is like getting close with the female love interest, and then Will Ferrell's character like goes off with her, and he believes that like been cheating behind his back or whatever. Something very similar happens in this, and there's a lot of waking up in bedrooms and stuff. So maybe not one for the kiddos.
Okay. Thanks for warning me.
You've been warned. Next, I watched Frozen. We've got Disney Plus. Frozen, don't rate it, to be honest.
Okay.
It's a song rather than a movie, really, to be honest. Like the best bit is Let It Go, and that's, very enjoyable. But then the rest of the movie, it's one of them, like I mentioned it to people in work, and they were like, is it really just the case that you don't like musicals? And I said, well, actually, I like Moana, but I think in Moana they choose the right time.
Did you bang your fist like on the table, like, and get a bit angry to assert dominance?
No, I do like musicals.
I like Moana.
I do like Moana, but I think they judge the time to have a song better than they do in Frozen. Frozen's one of those where like somebody moves to a door and someone has to sing about it.
Yeah.
So anyway, watch Frozen. Meh. Frozen 2's just come out and somebody said there isn't even a song in that one. So harsh critique. So also watch Toy Story 4. I hadn't seen it yet. The most recent one I'd seen was 3, and I think Toy Story 4 was out in the cinema just before lockdown. I don't know, maybe I'm
Oh no, it was last year, wasn't it? Yeah, it was last summer.
Okay, last summer, fair enough. I just missed it. I missed it, mate. I enjoyed the setting in the big fairground. I thought it was cool. Did it need to happen though? Not sure. I actually kind of forget how Toy Story 3 finished, but I felt like the end of it were all wrapped up with, spoiler alert, but Woody kind of moving on. Am I allowed to say that? That was all cool.
I guess, yeah, you can say that.
And then RC, but I watched a film called Paris, Texas, which is a Wim Wenders film with Harry Dean Stanton, who's in Alien.
Yeah.
Say RC, it's maybe a tiny bit pretentious, but it's a very cool film, actually. Have you seen it?
No.
Rhea and I decided that we were going to start watching the top 250 films on IMDB, and I've realised that there's a technical issue in doing that because it constantly changes. And there's no easy way to just download the list in PDF or like Excel form, so I had to like kind of snapshot what it was like on a particular day. The very first one was Terminator, but thus far I've not been able to convince Rhea to watch the Terminator as the very first one. The mood has not quite been right yet.
I think you can get there. I mean, maybe, I don't know, can you not ease her in with something similar? But
we watched Wall-E the other day, so it's a fair journey from here.
Eased in with Wall-E, that's it.
Yeah,
maybe
Wall-E,
go
that's
to maybe Short Circuit too.
Yes, you're right. Short Circuit, then it's Robocop, then it's Terminator. Yeah. Paris, Texas is the official synopsis. Do you want that? Yeah, you get it.
No.
The official synopsis.
Travis Henderson, an aimless drifter who has been missing for 4 years, wanders out of the desert and must reconnect with society himself and his life. Every shot in this film is like a really cool Wild West picture that's got like a weird mix of like Americana, McDonald's, like garages, signage, all that sort of stuff. It's cool. It's a nice film. I think you would enjoy it.
Okay. I would say though that you don't really need to describe a drifter as aimless, because I think by virtue of the fact that they're a drifter would generally mean that, they're pretty aimless, right?
Ollie, I don't write the official synopsis.
Well, I've asked you for proof. I've asked you for proof, but thus far none given. So,
well, fair enough. I've got a very tenuous link to you watching The Matrix, which is I've been reading a book called Simulacra and Simulation, which is written by an RC postmodernist writer who also wrote a book about America, which is kind of referenced in Paris, Texas. Anyway, Neo reads Simulacra and Simulation, or he hides his cool
he's got it
discs
hollowed
inside,
out. Yeah,
hollowed out. He hides his discs inside there. there's a link to what you've recently been watching and asking me the runtime of. So that's it. That's what I've been... Oh, actually, we watched Skyscraper the other night as well, finally.
Just to confirm, that was one of the top 250...
No, that was unrelated. It was just something that came up on Prime or whatever the other day. So watch that. All right, Ollie, how are you doing?
I'm all right. I mean, I guess I'll... I haven't... You know what? This lockdown and the last sort of 4 or 5 weeks has been a real... It's been... I've watched less films than I've ever watched in my life.
Wow.
I've wanted to watch Predator 2 now for 2 weeks, and I just haven't got round to it. So there's multiple reasons. One, I'm up early, and I'm working all day. And I'm busier than I've ever been. Reason number 2, I'm running quite a lot, so I go out and run. Can you look? You're going to have to let me sort of finish here. Number 3, my kids are here, and we tend to just sort of play a game or watch an episode of something in the evening. We've all been watching The Office, the US one. Number 4, been learning the piano.
Wow.
And I tend to practice for about an hour, and I normally do that in the evening.
Ollie Johnson, keys.
Yeah, so I mean, it is quite difficult. I've been stuck on Jingle Bells for about 3 days. It's using your left hand and your right hand, as you've seen, like your Elton Johns do. It's actually quite difficult getting your fingers in all these different positions with different rhythms and melodies. But I am enjoying it. But it's meant that I basically, what I'm saying is, Ian, I sail right past 8:30.
Yeah. Have you considered sleeping less? Because Arnold Schwarzenegger just says, just sleep faster.
Yeah, I guess I could try that. Yeah.
By
so
the way, that's not a health suggestion. Don't do
no,
that.
it's
Matthew
not,
Walker would suggest not to scrimp on sleep.
No, I like sleep. So I haven't really been watching many films, although I did watch mid-90s. It's the Jonah Hill directed sort of skater slice of life. I quite enjoyed it. It's not really my cup of tea. It's one of them films like not a lot happens. It's just a sort of slice of life. And I think when you're making a film with it where it's like kids, like teenagers, I think it all. I mean, and this goes for pretty much every film actually. The acting has to be spot on. It has to be really believable. Like you look at something like This Is England or Dead Man's Shoes or a lot of the Shane Meadows stuff. The young actors that they have in it are unbelievable. They're amazing. And in this, I didn't think that they were all great. So I wasn't completely sold on it at that level, but it looked cool. It was a nice film to watch. I liked it, but I just didn't think it was. It's just probably not my cup of tea, Ian.
I quite enjoyed it actually. I don't have justification for why I enjoyed it other than maybe it's. I said this to you when you told me about it on our WhatsApp chat. But it reminds me of Richard Linklater films like Dazed and Confused or Slacker or that kind of thing. Like it feels like it's just, rather than having the traditional 3-act structure and like sort of highs and lows of all that sort of stuff, it's just a sort of vibe that you kind of go along with, and I quite like it. It's cool.
Yeah. So I really need to find the time to watch Predator 2, and the other film that I want to see at the moment is I sent you a link to it. It's called Calm with Horses. It looks pretty cool. I think it might be decent, but one thing I just wanted to say is that I want people to stop saying that things are like a powder keg. That was one of the quotes in the trailer. It's like, this thing is like a powder keg ready to go off. We don't have powder kegs anymore. Just, no one really knows what they are. That's not a frame of reference for me, I'm afraid. I'm not up for things being described as powder kegs.
Yeah, me neither, because
cool, agreed.
Absolutely lost on me. Definition of powder keg: 1, a small, usually metal cask for holding gunpowder or blasting powder. All right, we'll just say like this is like a fucking bomb.
Yeah,
or something.
this is like a ticking time bomb ready to go off.
All over your eyes in the cinema.
Face. Yeah, that's just my thought there. So,
can I immediately apologise for the number of films I talked about in my life score and just say that I'm a 9?
I'm an 8.
It's been a long time since we did the podcast, so there are a lot of films to catch people up on. So,
yeah,
there you go. Should we do
Should
that?
we? Yeah.
Facts, data, it's just I must have put a lot of effort into this one.
Information overload.
I think I'll probably double check that.
What is a home cinema? You should be prepared for this.
Why am I'm never prepared for this shit question that never makes sense. Alright, so it's a place where you can watch films when you're at home.
Yeah. And would you say, if somebody said, I have a home cinema, Ian, do you want to come round and watch Predator 2 at the home cinema, and you went yes, what would you in your head be expecting at the very least?
A lawsuit.
No, tell me. Well, at the very least, if somebody said, Ian, come to the home cinema, it's great, I've got Predator 2, let's watch it, home cinema, what would you expect?
A screen bigger than 70 inches imagine
up to and exceeding.
A screen bigger than 70 inches or a projector. I love the idea though that and would be good, so like a screen above 70 inches and projector. So yeah, one of those two, and maybe some sort of sound bar / Dolby surround system of some kind. That's a home cinema.
I wouldn't be expecting a sound bar. If somebody said, I've got a home cinema, and I saw that they had a sound bar, that's when a lawsuit may occur.
Right, okay.
I would expect to see at least a 5.1 surround system, if not Dolby Atmos.
Okay. Atmos?
A surround system for sure.
Well, that's as we've introed. What have you got next?
So, okay. I mean, one of the things that we're talking about really is that we haven't been to the cinema in ages. Nobody has. Nobody's been to the cinema. They're not even releasing films. I think the next film that any of us will probably go and see is maybe Tenet, the Christopher Nolan film. I think that's what they're going to reopen cinemas with. I guess first question is, Ian, are you missing going to the cinema?
I think so, yeah. I think so.
And what are you missing about it?
So, it's kind of a whole experience, isn't it? But in the past, when I lived in my previous house, I used to go to the cinema on my own quite regularly, and you know that.
Yeah.
Going as the creepy cinema guy, but
yeah, don't upsell your flat as a house though. I think it's
a home. My previous home.
Yeah. Fine.
But what Rhea and I got into the habit of doing since we moved into this house was on Tuesdays we would go to the cinema in Walthamstow, and we would go to Nando's before.
Ooh.
And recently Nando's have opened up to home delivery, so we got it the other night and it felt like the start of a cinema experience. Felt like that sort of treat night, and unfortunately all the rest of the cinema experience wasn't there to follow. So I don't know, the cinema, I don't know what I'm telling you about Nando's. Basically I am missing it, because I do quite like just heading off to check out some stuff that you don't kind of, I don't know.
I think I mentioned this on the last podcast. So the last film that I saw in the cinema was The Invisible Man, and I think that was the last film. Yeah, so we both saw, not at the same time. So I saw it in LA. So I went to LA for work. I saw The Invisible Man at, I think it was the AMC Cinema in Universal Studios on City Walk. I was just bored one night. There was not a lot open. So I just decided, let's go and watch it. Let's go and get the US cinema experience. So I went there. It was pretty cool. There was no clapping or anything like that. You're allocated your seat. It was exactly the same cinema experience. The only difference that I could tell was there was root beer in the machines, which I like, and all the popcorn is ready to take. It's in bags ready for you to pick up. You don't have to go up to somebody and say, can I have some popcorn? It's just there. You just pick it up and then you eat it all in the queue.
Wow.
That's about it. So I enjoy doing that, and I do enjoy going to the cinema.
I think the thing I was trying to get at when you asked me what I was missing about it was I quite enjoyed when I was going to the Picture House Cinema that I would be checking out some films that otherwise I think would be buried in some like fangled art film player or something, right? So like occasionally I would go check out something like big and silly and action based,
Terminator Genesis.
Yeah, and then another day I didn't see, I did see Genesis actually. What was the most recent one?
Dark Fate.
Yeah, I didn't see Dark Fate. But anyway, so I'd go see something big and silly, and then I would also then go and see some art house thing that I would otherwise have to struggle through BFI player or like buy the DVD off Amazon to see. And I quite like that sort of mix of the two things. I think that's what was cool about going to the cinema. There's a wide range of cinematic experiences. Anyway, sorry,
so I've got a little list here of what the cinema might be like when it reopens. So we're just for clarity, we're recording this. It's the 9th of July. Okay, just so you know. So we don't 100% know, but we feel like cinemas are going to be opening sort of mid-end July maybe. So number one, face masks and temperature checks won't be required. So you'll just be going in. Expect a bit of extra queuing on the way in. Obviously we're used to that now, so you'll be just sort of queuing a little bit further apart. That's all fine. I think we're all okay.
Why don't you think face masks will be required?
Okay, so it says here the desire is to make cinemas safe, but not to make them feel like you're walking into an emergency ward, says Phil Clapp, the chief executive of the UK Cinema Association. So he's like the boss. He's like the end game boss of the cinema. So if this is his words, so
I think I'd rather wear a mask than, I don't know, personal preference. Fair enough.
Yeah. He just says safety is paramount, but we don't want to over medicalise the experience. It's supposed to be relaxing.
I don't need a mask. I wanted to check out the top end cinema experience, and it's a real inconvenience to me actually.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so, and you might be expecting some queuing on the way out. Show times will be staggered to allow for a deep post-movie clean. So there you go. So there'll be less showings of things. The big old clean. And that sounds like a positive thing to me, because I hate going into an auditorium and there's like M&Ms, Skittles, popcorn all over the floor. You can sit with your friends as long as they're in your household. So you have to bring in like a bill or something like that with your name on it. I like this. So number 5, it may feel quiet. Fantastic. Brilliant.
Yeah,
that's
perfect.
Great. Yeah, perfect. It could be running at as low as 25% capacity.
Perfect.
The upset of that means less chance of someone being on their phone during the movie. I don't know how
wonderful.
that... Yeah, I suppose. The odds work out. You'll still be able to buy food and drinks, obviously perspex screens and all that. But pick and mix, you're not gonna be getting any pick and mix.
Okay. Yeah.
As people digging their hands in ain't gonna happen, says Clapp. Loo breaks.
They're going to be putting their hands together for this guy.
Yeah. Loo breaks will be a little different. Do you want to have a guess?
I don't want to know.
I think you have to just go in your seat. There's a tube. You have to attach some kind of
This is a real deep cut, but I can't remember what the episode was, but a long time ago we talked about something where like RoboCop or Liam Neeson or somebody had control over your cinema seat. What was that about?
Oh, that was so there was a little bit about being able to go to the toilet in your seat, but I seem to remember that you would have like a panel that would maybe sort of squirt water or vibrate someone if they're talking too loud, or there'd be microphones in the seat to pick up loud talking, something like that.
Okay.
So loo breaks will be a little different. There'll be, you know, separators and, you know, things like that. So I don't know. I've not been to a public toilet in a long time, so I just don't know. Some may stay shut. So some of your smaller ones may just stay closed for the whole summer.
You've not been to a public toilet in a long time, but there is a hole in the side of your shed, isn't there?
Ian, I haven't got a shed anymore. I've moved house and the shed didn't come with me.
Oh, nightmare. Well, whoever's moved into that house has got a shock in their hands. They'll need a black light to work that out.
So you'll be able to watch two new blockbusters and some old favourites. So I don't really know what's coming out, but there was one that was advertised. It's a Russell Crowe film where he's a really annoyed trucker, where he's just sort of reached the end of his tether.
So it's like that Michael Douglas film.
Yeah, but he's a trucker. You could probably see it as some sort of sequel.
Falling Down.
Let me just find out what it's called.
Falling Down, yeah, Michael Douglas.
No, it's not that one. It's not that one. It's called. Just bear with me while
It's not that one. It's like that one.
It is very much like that one. It's called Stressed Out or something like. Oh, Unhinged.
Stressed Out. Listen, man,
so it's called Unhinged, and the tagline is "He can happen to anyone." I guess pretty good tagline. There you go. Let's talk about home cinema.
All right, cool. So I've got an obscene piece of equipment here that I think sort of epitomises what I was thinking when it came to home cinema kit, and it's on a website called petertyson.co.uk, which is an audio / visual
Mike's
website.
brother.
Mike's brother Peter, who is based in the UK. It's an almost £3,000 speaker pack, £2,999.90, or from £41 a month. Who's going into this sort of kit thinking I'll pay in instalments?
Well, people that aren't going to the gym anymore, I guess.
Maybe. One of the top parts of the spec is something. Oh, that's my email. Sorry. One of their top specification, like sort of unique selling points, is inverted commas, sit anywhere, close, unique Q sound. So I think it's supposed to be unique sound, but it's spelled UNI-Q sound. Unique. Yeah, I guess because obviously with a surround sound system, you're going to want to sort of set up for a listener. So I think maybe just what I would say is my big opinion on audio sound is that it's the hardest thing to really integrate into just a living room, a normal living space. So
that's why
you've beat me to it, because my notes on sound are extremely limited. It just says depends massively on the room, doesn't it?
And room and other people who you share that space with, whether they want holes drilled into the ceiling to support Atmos speakers, whether it's okay to have a bunch of speakers around the place. I mean, I don't even want that.
Even you.
So, yeah.
And you're a right one when it comes to sound.
Well, actually, I have. So when I'm gaming,
tinnitus.
No, I have. It's not it. I mean, you think you're cool laughing at tinnitus. So
sorry for those listeners that we have. that have tinnitus, but I'm sure listening to us
suffer,
is a worse affliction, to be honest.
Yeah, that suffer from this like awful thing. Yeah, so I actually have a pair of these Sony Gold Virtual 7.1 headphones, and I think they are great. I put
Virtually
them on.
7.1.
Yeah, so I just put them on, and I mean, it's not perfect surround sound, but actually it does a really, really good job.
You can hear in the background probably that my dog's food is being put in a bowl.
Biscuits.
Actually, no, that's our pasta going in the pan. Dog food is wet.
You know what? If I'd have had those Sony headphones on, I would have been able to
specify the pasta type.
Is it pen?
Rigatoni.
No, it's
rigatoni.
Okay.
All right, you know what? I'm not even going to talk about these KEF Q950 AV speaker pack speakers anymore. We'll move on. There is some brilliant product that I found on Amazon. When I put in home cinema, it took me, like, the very first top search item was the Easy Go 14-foot inflatable mega movie screen, canvas projection screen for outdoor parties. And after quite a long time of looking through, because it says currently unavailable, there was no price on it, so I had no way of telling whether it was a high-end piece of kit or not. But there's no projector with it. It's just a stupid inflatable screen. And I did a bit more research, and it turns out these are retailing for 200 quid. So
you bought one?
I've bought 3.
Yeah.
Actually, one of the you get like horrible photoshopped. You know when you buy like pet items on Amazon? I don't know if everyone that listens has pets, but
I think everyone that listens to this has pets.
Everybody, it's a requirement, it's a barrier to entry. But on all the products that you buy for pets, they quite often will Photoshop things horribly next to things that don't quite match the scale. Yeah. And on the second image in this Amazon listing, there is a like badly scaled image of a WWE wrestling match on this inflatable screen. So in the previous image, the screen is quite clearly one size, and then on the WWE screen, it's like made to look much, much bigger within the inflatable. Yeah. Anyway, I think if anyone's interested, it's called the Easy Go Products Mega Movie Screen.
Sounds good.
It's for the garden, maybe. That's still the home. Garden cinema. Maybe we should do an episode on that. Or all right. Sticking with TVs, what do you think about TV modifiers like, say for example, you got yourself a nice new TV. Yeah. What do you reckon to going round someone's house and they've got LED lights around the rear edge of the screen that illuminate the wall behind the TV in a certain colour?
Is it doing it to the film, or is it just, mood lighting?
Friend of the podcast, Gaz, has a kaleidoscopic colour scheme that it runs through over a sort of set period of time, so it will just blend from purple to red.
I don't mind it. Look, I'm a fan of mood lighting. I don't mind it.
One step up is probably what you're talking about, which is Philips Hue, right? And I think that probably, if whatever you're streaming from has the coding, on any given shot, it will illuminate the background in that colour. So, is that good? Is that something you want? They don't do it.
It's surplus to requirements. I've got some of the these LED colour changing lights, and I do enjoy, if I'm playing like a game in the evening and I don't want the big light on, I don't really even want a lamp on. You could just put those on, change it to whatever vibe you're feeling at the moment, and just put it on. Yeah, I'm up for it. I'm fine. I'm not gonna look down on it. I know you are. Okay. That's where you're coming from.
No, it's not. I was shocked that that's where you went with that.
What about, a friend of the podcast, Gaz, also has a hot dog machine. What do you think of that as part of the sort of home cinema experience?
I am
essential or surplus?
Well,
Yep.
it's definitely surplus, but it's lovely. Like, you said at the very start of the episode, you said if somebody took you to their home cinema, what is the minimum requirements that you would expect? I think if they'd shit the bed on the projector or the 70-inch screen or the sound,
Garden mega inflator.
yeah. So if they'd shit the bed in one of those many ways, but they had the home hot dog machine, I think that would more than make up for it. Gaz's hot dogs are pretty spot on, to be honest.
Yeah.
And we're not talking about some like basic hot dog thing that heats them. It's one of the rollers. Industrial meat rolling hot dog machine.
So, look, I think neither of us can lay claim to having a home cinema. I have a decent, well, not even decent. I'd say it's like a mid-range LG TV. It was the cheapest one I could buy. I haggled the guy in John Lewis. I got it price matched. I didn't pay a lot for it, but it's 4K. It's got the HDRs. But I'm just listening to the speakers from the TV, so I'm not getting any excellent stuff there. So I wouldn't lay claim to having a home cinema. And even so, friend of the podcast Tommy actually posted that he probably wouldn't lay claim to having a home cinema either, and suffers from window glare like I do. And also the fight between gunshots and dialogue, which is something that is solved by a home cinema, because often when you're listening in surround, then the dialogue is normally in the centre speaker, which means not everything else has to keep ducking. But when you're just on a television, that's when you start getting this like fight for dialogue and action, when you're leaping for the controller. What's Hugo Weaving saying? I can't. It's too loud. Scared the cat.
He does have a lovely wood burner though, and some nice exposed wooden floors. So
yeah,
every cloud. Yeah, I was just saying how I'd had the same TV pretty much my whole life, but when I went to buy this new one, which again, like you, is sort of mid-range. I don't know, like 400 quid mark. So like
something like that.
Not video file level, but the reason mine
what is a video file?
Somebody that files videos.
Okay, not a sexual deviant.
No, it's not video drone.
Okay.
So my TV is a UHD Ultra HD 4K. But everybody that I asked when I went to buy it told me OLED, but OLED is 55 inches and above only. Like, they don't do OLED smaller than that. And unfortunately, because the way our room is laid out, we just can't physically have a bigger TV than 43. It just fits in the alcove bit where our TV unit is. So I was restricted. My cinema is only ever going to be 43 inches big. So
something you have to live with.
Just got to live with that. But I'm happy with it. It's good. I like it.
The reason why you may have heard me giggle to myself a minute ago was because I just remembered that co-host of the podcast, Peter Cater, also bought a new TV not so long ago, and it has football mode on it, which was fun. And he doesn't watch football.
Yeah, I bought it because it has football mode in it.
Well, actually, I think he was trying to get a discount to if they removed football mode, could he have some money off?
So this gets me onto this article that I have called 10 Worst TV Technologies.
How fast can you get through these?
I'm not going to go through all 10.
And is curved screen one of them?
Curved screen is one of them. Curved screen TVs are a gimmick, at least at their current incarnation.
Okay, can I try and guess another one?
Okay, yeah, go for it.
3D with powered glasses.
Yeah, some companies have already dropped it because they know it's just bollocks.
Motion smoothing.
So that's what I was getting onto, because I think that kind of drifts into the football mode territory, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Soap opera effect is how it's listed here. The artificial smoothing introduced by many TVs can usually be turned off, as in the picture above. The picture above says smooth motion effect. But in most models, it's on by default. And if you listen to Tom Cruise, that's something that you should probably be turning off to get the full movie effect at home.
And I trust Tom Cruise.
Why?
I mean, because he knows films, he knows Hollywood, so he knows that people like the films aren't made to have this smoothing effect. I mean, I went round my parents' house, and they'd bought a new TV, and it had this kind of motion smoothing effect. I think they were watching Stardust. You know the Stardust film.
Pacino?
No, it's got Ricky Gervais, De Niro, and people in it. And it had this motion smoothing on it, right? So they had this motion smoothing, and it just looked terrible. It was like the veil had been lifted, and you were looking at the set.
Yeah,
it felt like you were looking at Ricky's set.
I think I had that same effect. I've mentioned it before, but when I watched Public Enemies, it was the first, I think, HD film that Michael Mann had made, and the HD cinema cameras had made it look like you're watching theatre rather than a movie. Anyway, I think can we just close on home cinema with your thoughts on sound bars? And I think you've already said a little bit on it, but like, what the point in trying to improve your audio at home is. Should people bother with that at all? Ollie's final word.
Okay, settle down. I think that obviously a soundbar kind of helps because it's sorting out that space issue, which I know a lot of people have that. So a soundbar will go some way to making it sound better. It will go some way to separating the channels a bit. I think you can get them where they have the separate center channel, so it would deal with the speech. So I think that a soundbar, as long as you're getting the right one that does the job that you expect it to do, is a great, a great option.
Okay, that's the right one. That's the right one. That's the wrong one.
Yeah, that one doesn't have a center channel. Don't get it. It won't be any different. Okay. So that's my final thoughts. Ian, I had one question for you just before we get onto the name game. Okay. If you were to get a home cinema, what's your go-to film to really put that home cinema through its paces?
Terminator 2 Judgment Day, probably.
Would that be the newly remastered version or the old version on VHS? Widescreen.
Probably the newly
Steelbook.
remastered version, right? But one pitfall actually of 4K and all that sort of stuff that is commonly called out, and I think it was in that top 10 nonsense things, is that the human eye really struggles to perceive the difference between 1080 and 4K. So
that is nonsense.
That's what this article says.
That's nonsense.
And it says the viewing experience is so I know that when we're talking about the remastered version, really we're talking about the Blu-ray, right? But
yeah,
if we're talking about the remastered version somehow streamed, it was suggesting on this website that also for the perceived improvement in quality, there's a lot of other things that would be compensated for in the streaming. So like if your internet has any sort of dip at any point, the compression to try and get the 4K through to you will be doing all sorts of things with the frame rate and stuff like that. So anyway, Terminator 2.
If you were just watching it off
Day.
Physical media or a hard drive, then it's fine. I have noticed that 4K does look better, but I think at that point, like the quality of the telly and like where you've really got, I think you really have to set up a TV. You have to go in and sort of fiddle with the blacks and the whites and the saturation and all those sort of things to get a picture. Because when we were watching The Matrix the other night, I kind of had it on this sort of default setting, and it was basically green. Like when he's kind of in the office and the agents are coming in, and he's on the phone, and he's sort of ducking at, and all that kind of stuff. He's like Keanu Reeves. Neo's skin was literally green because the TV was just set up completely wrong. So I do think you do need to go in and sort of fine tune.
I get it. I agree that calibrating your screen is important, but I think it's fair to say that the Matrix does have a green tint because it is.
This is too much. This was like the Adventures of Young Hulk.
Okay, fair enough, but it was an intentional tint that was added to it, I think, to kind of carry through from like the computer code color. Like, so it's supposed to be like old computer code, and that comes up in the Matrix code that then appears later in the film and all that sort of stuff. So a lot of it, like, so when you're in the Matrix, there's a green tint, which is like when Mr. Anderson's at his office desk.
When they're
when
not,
you're
it's
out
blue.
of the Matrix, the tint is slightly different.
It's blorange.
Blorange, probably blorange, yeah. But anyway, it's there, but I get what you're saying. You should calibrate the screen.
Right, you hear that, everyone? Go ahead and calibrate your screens now.
I think you can get tools for it.
Probably.
Calibration tool.
Ian, I've got the name game to sort of see us out. So you remember this one, yeah? So I give you the first name.
Yeah.
And then you hit me with the surname.
Okay. I'm ready.
Okay. So I give you the first name. You give me the surname. Okay. Mark.
Blorange. Marky Mark.
Wahlberg.
Yeah.
Dexter.
Fletcher.
Jessica.
I immediately thought Sarah Jessica Parker, so now I can't think of anyone else. Jones.
Alba.
Okay.
John.
Ham.
Cena.
Rock.
Correct. Carrie.
Fisher.
And Moss.
Moss. Okay.
Carrie Atmos. Hillary.
She's Dolby's sister.
Hillary.
Swank. Hillary
Correct.
Swank.
Donald.
Glover.
Pleasance. Bernie.
Hillary and Bernie. Is this okay? Bernie Mac.
Correct. Joe.
Britannia.
Pesci.
Oh fuck! You just watched The Matrix, mate. You got the wrong Joe.
I know, but I was. See, this is where you normally try and figure out what I'm doing and what breadcrumbs I may have left.
Too many. It's a mess.
Yeah, it's too many breadcrumbs.
Are we
okay,
done?
I hope you enjoyed that. I didn't count how many you got, but not
9
all
out
of
of
them.
9. You like the podcast, then you can listen to more of them. Why don't you try that? Listen to all of them. I've just had a message during this podcast from a friend of the podcast, Ronnie, who said, what other Arnie films are essentials? We've just watched Commando, and I said Kindergarten Cop. Actually, no, just listen to all of our many Arnie episodes. So do that. Everyone can go back and listen to the Arnie episodes. How can you do that? Well, we're on Podbean, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all sorts of podcast places. Just check it all out. Go through the list. You're already listening to it, so you must be able to check them out. And if you can, leave a 5-star review. We're on Instagram and Twitter at GOF Podcast. I think that's enough.
Are you enforcing those 5-star reviews still?
That's a requirement, I'm afraid. If you review, it must be 5 stars. Ollie, sounds like you're already packing up to go.
Yeah, I'm fully. I've saved the project and I'm not recording anymore, so.
Okay.
I've already edited it. It's out.
Bye.
Bye.